St. Clair County 911. What's the location?
911.
Morgan was beaten, tied, and left half naked on her doorstep. Her attacker wore a mask, but she knew him. A love story that began in a small Florida town ended with a crime that shocked the nation. Rodney, 17. Morgan, just 14. Two kids who should have been too young for forever. But forever came fast. He brought flowers to her porch, left notes folded in her locker. He was older, protective, always planning some new surprise. Morgan, shy and starry-eyed, felt like she'd been chosen. It was her first love, and she believed it would be her last. From the outside, they were a dream, holding hands in halls, posing for pictures at prom. The kind of couple people whispered about, they'll probably get married one day. And they did. By 20, Morgan was slipping on an engagement ring. By 23, she was walking down the aisle, believing she had found safety for life. Their new home sat at the edge of town, quiet, calm, wrapped in trees. The kind of place meant for family, not secrets. They talked about kids, about growing old, about building a life worth envying. Then 2010 hit. Rodney's younger brother, Kevin, only 19, lost his battle with leukemia. The funeral gutted him. Grief hollowed him out. But it didn't stop there. Rodney hardened. Little flashes of temper turned into storms. Questions turned into accusations. Affection turned into rules. Morgan kept smoothing it over. He's broken. He just needs time. But time didn't heal. It rotted. And Morgan was about to learn that grief can explain anger. But it can't explain the mask he would one day put on. 2011. Morgan gives birth to their first son. They name him Kevin, after Rodney's brother. But joy turns to tragedy. Baby Kevin is born too early, his heart too weak. 18 days later, Morgan is holding a tiny casket. For most couples, tragedy binds. For Rodney, it unravels him. Instead of comforting Morgan, he grows cold. When she cries, he snaps. You think you're the only one who lost something? When she reaches for him, he pulls away. Morgan makes excuses. He's grieving. We both are. But grief doesn't turn tenderness into blame. Something in Rodney is shifting. And it isn't just sadness. 2012. A miracle. Morgan is pregnant again. This time with twins. A boy and a girl, born healthy, beautiful. Morgan pours everything into motherhood. She barely sleeps, but she's glowing. Rodney? He grows stricter. The house runs on his rules. How the twins should be fed, where toys should go, what Morgan can or can't do. Any slip, any question, he erupts. To neighbors, he's just a stressed dad. But inside the house, it's like walking across eggshells. Morgan whispers to her sister, I can't relax for even a second. Her sister says, he's still grieving. It'll pass. But every outburst feels less like grief and more like control. By 2015, Morgan starts an interior design business. She juggles kids, clients, and late nights, and it pays off. Within a year, she's making more than Rodney. And he hates it. Instead of celebrating her, he mocks her, calls her lucky, not talented, tells her, don't forget who pays the bills. Even when that's no longer true. 2019, Morgan wins a prestigious design award. She's on stage, lights bright, applause thundering. Rodney sits in the crowd, arms crossed, glaring. When her name is called, he doesn't clap. That night, Morgan realizes something terrifying. Her success doesn't inspire him. It threatens him. And every step forward she takes, he pulls harder to drag her back. By now, Morgan feels trapped. Her friends notice her pulling away. She cancels plans, stops answering texts. And when she does show up, she's quiet, guarded. Rodney has eyes everywhere. He checks her phone, times her errands. He frames it as love, as just protecting you. But it's not protection. It's surveillance. And Morgan, still hopeful, tries to plan a way out. She books a couple's retreat, hoping maybe distance will open space to talk about separation. But Rodney senses it. One night before the trip, the mask slips. He explodes, and for the first time, his hands follow his anger. A slap, then fists, then shoving her against the wall. The man who promised forever becomes her worst fear. Bloodied, bruised, Morgan calls her father in tears. He rushes over, ready to protect his daughter. But when he gets there, Rodney is calm, composed, almost gentle. He tells a story. Morgan was hysterical. She slipped. She hurt herself. And her father believes him. To Morgan, it's a knife to the heart. If even her own father can be turned against her, who will believe her when the real mask comes off? Because this wasn't just anger. This wasn't just grief. This was rehearsal. And soon, Rodney wouldn't just be shouting or striking. He'd be planning. December 31st, 2020. New Year's Eve in Palm Bay, Florida. The twins are asleep upstairs. Morgan sets out sparkling cider. She's decided. This year, she'll finally leave him. Rodney seems calm. Too calm. He kisses her cheek, says, "New year, new beginnings." But Morgan feels something heavy in the air. The kind of silence that comes before a storm. At 11:45, Rodney tells her he's running to the gas station for drinks. She nods, relieved for a moment of peace. But when she checks the clock again, he's back in under 3 minutes. Too fast. Too planned. The front door creaks open. Morgan freezes. Footsteps echo in the hallway. Heavy. Slow. Deliberate. She calls out, "Rodney?" No answer. Instead, a man in a ski mask steps into the living room. Gloved hands. Knife glinting. Her heart slams in her chest. The masked man lunges. She screams, bolts for the kitchen. He grabs her hair, slams her against the counter. "Don't fight," he hisses. Morgan scratches, kicks, anything to break free. He slashes her arm. Blood sprays across the tile. But in that split second, as his mask slips, she sees it. The jawline, the eyes, the voice. It's not an intruder. It's Rodney. Panic floods her veins. He isn't just angry anymore. He's hunting her. Every exit is blocked. Every window locked. He drives her into the bedroom, knife raised. "You ruined everything," he spits. Morgan pleads, "Rodney, please. We have kids." But he doesn't hear her. Or worse, he doesn't care. He plunges the blade down. She jerks her arm up, metal tears in her flesh. Her blood stains the sheets. She kicks him in the chest, scrambles for the door. He grabs her ankle, dragging her back. She claws at the carpet, screaming, until her throat feels raw. The twins cry from upstairs. Rodney snarls, "Shut them up, or I will." Something in Morgan snaps. Terror hardens into rage. She remembers a hammer Rodney left on the nightstand while fixing furniture. With every ounce of strength, she grabs it. It smashes against his temple. He stumbles, dazed. She doesn't wait. She bolts for the door, dripping blood behind her. She crashes into the front yard barefoot, screaming for help. Neighbors hear her. A porch light flicks on. Another door swings open. Voices rise. "Call 911. Hurry." Rodney stumbles out after her, mask still hanging from his face. And for the first time, others see him for what he is. Not a grieving husband. Not a protective father. A predator caught in the act. Police flood the street. Morgan collapses into an officer's arms, her dress soaked in blood. She whispers, "It was Rodney. It was always him." Inside, detectives find his car still warm. Inside the trunk, duct tape, zip ties, gasoline, a shovel. This wasn't a rage attack. This was premeditated. Neighbors stare as Rodney is dragged out in cuffs. His face is calm, almost smug, as if he still believes he can talk his way out of it. But Morgan isn't silent anymore. The evidence isn't invisible anymore. The mask is gone, and the monster underneath is finally exposed. The sirens faded, but the evidence didn't. Inside the police station, investigators laid it all out. A ski mask, gloves, bloodstained jeans, and in the trunk, zip ties, duct tape, gasoline, a shovel. Tools of abduction, tools of murder. But the most damning evidence wasn't physical. It was Morgan herself, alive, wounded, and ready to speak. Palm Bay Courthouse, 2022. A packed room. Rodney in a suit, clean-shaven, trying to look like the boy he used to be. Across from him, Morgan, scar on her arm, still visible, flanked by family. The prosecution painted him as a manipulator. Not a grieving husband, not a man snapping, but a predator who staged an attack in his own home, then wore a mask to make his wife believe it was a stranger. The jury watched as photos appeared on the screen. Morgan's swollen face. The kitchen tiles splattered with blood. The hammer she used to save her own life. Every picture shredded the illusion Rodney had lived behind for years. When a verdict came, the room held its breath. Guilty, aggravated battery, attempted murder, false imprisonment. The judge looked down at Rodney and spoke words he couldn't charm his way out of. 70 years in prison. Not life, but close enough. Close enough to mean that Morgan and her children could finally breathe. But here's the thing. Morgan survived because she played his game. She read his silence, bought herself seconds, swung when she had no choice. And she lived. But how many don't get that chance? How many never get the hammer? Never make it to the yard? Never get to point at their abuser in a courtroom and say, "That's him." Rodney thought he could write the ending. Instead, the mask slipped and the monster showed. But not every story closes in a courtroom. Some end in silence. Some end with the manipulator walking free. And that's where we're going next. A case where the abuser didn't just try to control the ending. He erased it completely. Thanks for watching. Please share. Let the world hear this.